Hey everybody, we're back. We've got our next guest coming up to the stage in a moment, one we're very excited to introduce.
We are.
A creative producer, an art curator operating at the intersection of TV, film, and theater, with a background in fashion and tech, and a focus on the transformative powers of storytelling. Please welcome to the stage, Xavier Rernard Cunningham. I'll just give you one. Get comfortable over there.
Got it. No, can y'all hear me? All right, cool. Naima taught me to turn the mic on, so good.
Lessons. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you feeling?
I'm so good. Look at all these people.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful crowd.
It's a special night.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We got to know each other recently, and I was able to see a show that you produced, which we're going to get into later, which is beautiful. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about, on your Instagram, you refer to yourself as a creative Swiss Army knife. And I just want to hear, from your, what is that? Why did you put that there? What does that mean to you in your own words?
It's a great question. Courtney likes the reaffirmation, so.
Oh my goodness, it's blowing me up.
But that is a great question. So without geeking out too much, the origins, right, are I say that phrase has been in the lexicon of the English language since post-World War II. And at its origins, it was created to be a device that soldiers could leverage at their beck and call at any moment, right? It was intended to be the utmost utility, resourceful, and undetected. And I think when I attempt to look at how I try to navigate being a creative and working in creative spaces, I'm really intentional about amplifying artists without necessarily needing the credit myself. And so I try to mimic, I think, the impact or the thoughtfulness of a Swiss Army knife. And so my goal is always to be ever present, often undetected, but always impactful. And so that's why I use that.
Let's get some snaps for that.
Hey, don't come up here and turn this shit into some poetry. That's wild. I know what he's doing. I've seen this movie before. Stop. The work, the creative work, the back office stuff behind the camera is work of service. And it takes a special type of person to settle into said role and to show up like yourself. Where is that developed at? Where is that? Is that at home? Is that mom, sisters? Where does that start for you? Because it's authentic. People try to carry it and then it's too heavy and then they bow out, but you wear it really well. Where does that start from?
Now, thanks for asking that, because any chance I get to talk about my mother is one I cherish. I'm a Southerner. I'm super proud of the Southern roots, Geechee from South Carolina. And yeah, my mom, it's really hard to describe someone who has created a path without having any formal training on how to do it, and raising 3 kids coming from a rural area with 1 traffic light. My mom carried all 3 of us up through the East Coast for better opportunities every chance she got, and she rarely complained about it. And being the youngest of the kids, I had to watch this, or I got the opportunity and the honor to watch it. And there's moments I saw her coming home from her 3rd job, tired, and having to help her put on her uniform, right, to go to do that. So I think everything that I have starts with my mother, and it starts with understanding how to do the work without not necessarily complaining, but how to do the work with grace, because it's important and it's necessary. And so I think ultimately, if I can amplify and be a change agent for other people, I know what my mother meant to me, and my goal is to do that particularly for as many Black women as I can. I joke, but I kind of don't joke, that if my tombstone reads, "He showed up for Black women," my life would be a success.
Hey,
So,
now.
That's kind of
See, y'all falling for it again. Stop. I told y'all. It happened to me, though. You can't help it. It's good. It's good.
Xavier, so I know you're the executive producer for Hat Matter, Inside the Mind of a Black Mad Hatter.
The star of the show is here, too.
He
Michael,
is here tonight.
Please, round of applause, please. Incredible show if you haven't seen it. Incredible show.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that show is about, for those that don't know? And also, what is the impact that you hope the audience takes away from watching that show?
Yeah, great questions. So Hat Matter is a one-man theater show. It is from the brainchild of what I consider to be a generational talent, that is Michael Wayne Turner III. And it is a show, I think an analog I like to give, it's what happens when Sidney Poitier meets James Baldwin, meets Willy Wonka. And so,
Yeah, that's perfect.
And so it really is this extremely whimsical show that takes you on this journey through the headspace of an American Black dandy as this individual explores all the ins and intricate details of his humanity. And to answer the question of like what I hope people take away from it, I think at the end of the day, I hope you watch the show and you remember that very few things that you come across are exactly what they seem the first time you see it. And that we live in a world that is very much caught up on both revisionist history, but we're prisoners of the now. And so anything that we see, we feel like we exacerbate it at polar opposites. But most of us live in the gray, and that's okay, right? Like none of us are all of one thing at any moment all the time. And so I think the show really does a fantastic job of taking you on this journey of this person you see at the beginning is nowhere close to the person you see at the end. And he does a brilliant job of using stories and monologues and poetry and dance. It'll make you laugh, you'll cry, but hopefully, if nothing else, you think or contemplate about something you thought you understood before you came in. Hopefully you don't think that way, or at least question it a little bit when you leave.
What part of what phase are you in now with the show? We worked a few weeks ago on some post-audio stuff that you were getting ready to submit to I don't know if you can reveal that yet, but speak about the steps in taking a one-man show from locally grown theater, produced by out of pocket and here to trying to get that thing to Broadway. Like, what is that? Walk us through that process. Yeah,
so our current journey, we're loosely calling From the Bay to Broadway. At least that's what me and Michael call it. And yeah, I mean, it's funny. The steps are they're far from linear. And so if I'm I'm learning as we go. I'm definitely building this plane as I'm flying it. But I would say at the core of it, I'm just super confident in the quality of what we're creating, and I think that's what's driving a lot of the ship. Michael and I are able to work beautifully together because he is a creator's creator, and how his mind works, mine doesn't. And how I think about business, he doesn't want to have to care to think about it. And so I would say, where we're currently at, we did do some amazing audio work together to submit to 3 different Broadway producers who are all very interested in the story. So we're actually flying to DC on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. Thank you, yeah. So we'll be meeting with those producers as they honor a play called A Strange Loop, which won the best musical Tony last year. And so those same producers want to meet with us to talk about our show. We'll also be doing a residency at the Kennedy Center in D.C. coming this July. So thank y'all. And yeah, and hopefully we'll be raising a bunch of money to put it on Broadway in 2024. So that's the goal.
Woo, congratulations. All exciting things. I know we're probably coming out of time here, so I want to hit you with one last question, because I know that you are involved in a lot of different creative lanes, whether it's film, theater, art installations. Can you tell me, like, what is the connective tissue for you that helps you decide, like, where you want to support? Because I know you mentioned you amplify other people's voices. So could you tell us, like, what for you is that connective tissue?
Yeah, I think Naima mentioned this as well, and she's definitely someone I aspire to. So shout out to her. Can't thank her enough for what she does. I think the start is two-pronged, the answer. The start of it is always the person. And for me, it's how dedicated are you to what you are looking to do. And so when Michael came to me, we were already friends, but when he spoke to me about wanting to do this project, you could feel it, right? Like you could really feel the dedication and the love and the care that he had for the work that he wanted to do. And so it's like working with anyone, right? When that person is excited about what they're doing, it gets you excited. And you know when it's authentic. You know when someone just wants to create something because they're like, oh, this is going to get a lot of views, or I'm going to get this. And it's like, no, Michael just wanted to create this. There's another brilliant talent from East Oakland named Adrian Burrell, who I'm working with, on an art installation. And he tells these interwoven, familiar stories that start with the matriarchs of his family. And he really, really cares about the documentation and the preservation of these familiar stories and how Black women play a part, dating back from his family in East Oakland to New Orleans to Senegal, right? And it's like, whatever you need for that, I'm doing it, you know? So I think the people are always the start. And then for the specifics of the story, they have to have a transformational element. And so as controversial, I'll preface this, as controversial as it may be, like the Cosby Show created more doctors and lawyers in Black and brown communities than any mentorship program, any college fair could ever do, right? The power of what he was able to do with that medium is transformational, and it will forever be that way. Sex in the City, like that probably sent more women to New York, right, wanting to live.
She was trying to go.
Right? Like, it's like, oh, I know. Right? Everybody thought brunch was going to be like this, you know, in New York. And so, and that show did that, right? I mean, you got Jay-Z and Beyonce even talking about that show and how it had them locked in because it pulled you into this world and it transforms how people think and how they aspire to live life. And so I would say that is probably the second part. It has to be something that I feel can transform how people feel and how they think and ultimately how they'll navigate life.
I told y'all.
I mean, I feel transformed by this conversation. I feel inspired. And for anyone that's a creative, I think it's just such a wonderful, lens into how you identify with creatives. And I just thank you so much for coming and sharing your words with us today.
Can y'all give it up for Xavier, please, y'all? Thank you, bro. Absolutely.